welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me, as always, is a man who may have made sure his cat's out of the room, Logan Stump.
Oh, no, absolutely not. For the quality of content that she can create, I think I started to actually put catnip all over things just to make sure that she knocks things over again. But no, I can't really promise that. Otherwise, it'd be really annoying. You'd get a lot of feedback if you're listening to the episode. You would just get a lot of meowing and scratching at the door because they would be very interested as to why I closed the door. So, no, unfortunately.
So you're saying we might get a repeat? We might get a repeat.
All right, so like behind me, I've got like the green screen. She's actually right here right here on the floor. Can you not do this today? Okay. So that was her pep talk, but I'm pretty sure she's getting ready to jump up here in like T-3 seconds. So the viewers can see her. The listeners just know that my cat, the impending doom, is just it's coming, right? So that's what impending means. So. So if my set goes down again, I do apologize to Alex, and I'm just so glad that the Moon Tower guys took it so well. Like it
Oh yeah, they were pros.
Yeah, it was unbelievable how well they took that. And Jordan, I could just see you kind of just shaking your legs, like, come on, anything but what just happened. Anything what just happened.
It was difficult to get through. We put the clip up on Twitter. If people haven't seen it, the clip's also up on YouTube. It's also up on Facebook. I think it's on all of our spots. I tried to put it on Instagram, but it's too long, and Instagram wouldn't accept it. So I said, never mind, I'm not doing this. So, but it's up on Twitter. It's up on our YouTube. We have a playlist called Clips, and that's the first one on there. And then, Facebook has it under their videos under Stateside Soccer Show, at Stateside Show. So, we had some drama that didn't involve cats, with Kellen Acosta, right? So we'll probably be talking a little bit about that after we do our interview. And what team are we previewing today, Logan? And who do we have? You kind of mentioned it.
Yeah, we're going completely out of order. So we've got Inter Miami that we're previewing today. So this will be interesting. Huge roster turnover, Jordan. So I'm excited to see what Alex has to say. And we have Alex Windley on, and she's a journalist host. She does the Heron Outlet, which is a podcast. She is a soccer writer and analyst for the Lemon City Live, and then also World Football Index. So it should be pretty interesting to see what Alex has to say about a team that you and I are both so fascinated with just because of last year. I just remember, I think, very early on that our podcast dealt a lot with the sanctions. So kind of interested to see what happens with Inter here and what Alex has to say being on the ground there, because it's always fascinating to me what the insiders think of Inter.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. So let's go ahead and take a break, and then we will welcome in Alex. Hey, Logan.
Hey, what's up, Jordan? How's it going?
Are you a fan of things other than soccer?
Sometimes. Depends on what it is.
Are you a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Absolutely. Love Batman.
Well, let me tell you, we have an MCU fan podcast called To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. And it even has some soccer in it this week.
What?
Yes. I welcomed Jack from the Final Third.
Great people.
Who we've had on this show to talk Minnesota United, and probably will have on the show again. And we decided, let's name a team of MCU superheroes, and let's give them positions. We both chose a 4-3-3, and we picked some places. Now, we didn't just say, all right, Iron Man, striker. We made sure we had ideas on why they were playing those positions. So if you want some fun, take an hour out of your time and look up To the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast, and there will be some links to it in the descriptions, and you can listen to Jack and I fight with why we chose these heroes in the positions we chose them.
Sounds marvelous, actually.
And we are back from our break, and we have Alex Windley joining us to talk some Inter Miami. How are you today, Alex?
I'm good. I'm good. A little chilly, but I'm hanging in there.
For people that don't know, we were just talking about this, but yeah, you're in Miami. A little chilly for you is a little different for chilly for everywhere else.
Yeah, she said chili, and I think the Cincinnati's people, I think their ears perked up because of the skyline chili. They're like, "What's that? Why are they talking about chili?"
So Alex, if you could just kind of describe like where people can usually find your stuff and like what got you kind of into writing or talking about Inter Miami.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at AAW_1998. Initially, I'm in college for mass comm and journalism, and I played soccer all my life. So naturally, that was a marriage in heaven. So when I got the opportunity to write for MLS Multiplex around the early 2020, just covering Inter Miami, I jumped at the opportunity, and it's kind of grown from there. Like there's the Heron outlet that I've started with my colleagues, and yeah, it's just us trying to bring the best, analysis and commentary about Inter Miami because the South Florida landscape, it's not very soccer. They're soccer fans, but the Heat and the Dolphins normally dominate sports. So, I'm just here trying to explain MLS and Inter Miami as best as I can with all the convoluted rules and whatnot.
I was going to say, as a Dolphins fan,
Yeah,
I can speak to just the idea that just having a sports team that is functional has been
yeah,
kind of a problem in Miami since LeBron left. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
been
yeah,
tough. I mean, it's been tough for
yeah,
Miami fans. But I love I love following your stuff because I feel because there's people that can tweet and then there's people that like almost like we do where we're entertainment or we're mouthpiece. But I do feel like you provide good content, like original content, and I find it fascinating just because looking on the outside in, I can get a lot from your tweets. So if you guys aren't following Alex and you are a Miami fan, I feel like it's a great follow because I do feel like you've got great content and you're able to pull stuff up that not very many people could find, which is good.
yeah. Thank you. It's yeah, journalism. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Even though I am part time right now, yeah, it's a lot, and but it's really rewarding. Especially covering Inter Miami. There's been a lots of ups and downs, but it's
Mhm.
it's rewarding and challenging, and I love every single minute of it.
So I guess let's get into some of the retrospectives of Inter Miami. They haven't had too much of a successful season in any of the two seasons they've played, but
Yeah.
just looking back at 2021 and finishing in 11th place, what do you think some of the positives and negatives were that you took away from there? Um, Especially since there's kind of been these whirlwind of changes of two different coaches in 2 different years, and do you see anything maybe going up here?
Yeah, I think 2021, coming off that 2020 season, everyone just wanted Inter Miami to get it together. And we all thought that 2021 was going to be that year where, oh, finally it clicks. We got rid of our old coach. We brought in Phil Neville. Maybe he'll add some stability. But honestly, it did just get progressively worse. And I think everyone saw how bad it got. There were multiple blowout losses. There were, players that didn't necessarily get along, the sanctions, of course, and it just went from bad to worse. And I think this offseason it shows that these first two seasons the roster was just, everything was just poorly constructed. And yeah, 2021 it was just laying everything bare in regards to that. So yeah, but it's still incredible, everything that this club has gone through, from just getting the bid in the expansion bid in the first place back in 2014, just trying to find a stadium site. It's just no matter what Inter Miami goes through, these fans, they just want to see their team play. So yeah, 2021, it was a bad year. It was a bad year, but I think heading into 2022, we see a different mindset and a different philosophy in regards to Inter Miami.
You spoke about the stadium, and it wasn't one of the things that I sent over, but I was just curious. Is there anything that you've heard, or I mean, on the ground there in Miami, is there anything you've heard about the stadium? Because I know they had talked about like this was just a temporary fix, And then last year they go and name it Drive Pink, and then it's like, okay, that doesn't seem very temporary. I mean, you obviously can change the name and make that into an academy kind of thing. But
Mhm.
is there any talk on a new stadium? I know the Dolphins have kind of taken up a lot of the money in space and time of the government right now because of the F1 stuff. But is there anything that they've said about the new stadium or anything?
Yes, actually, there was a report from the Miami Herald about a week ago where, basically Inter Miami and the city of Miami have come to an agreement as far as just negotiations. Of course, they still have to vote on it. They need 4 votes they need 4 votes from city commissioners. One already said no, so it's still not a done deal yet. But I did read in that article, Mayor Francis Suarez said that they're going to try to get it a vote passed. Within going back to next week, he said in a couple weeks, so maybe soon, hopefully get that passed. And then Jorge Mas did say, he was quoted in that article saying that hopefully they can have shovels in the ground by late 2022, which is impressive considering the amount of obstacles this thing has gone through. So, yeah, there is some movement on there. And I think, this club has gone through so much. Getting a stadium in Miami proper would just only fix all the wrongs that they've done. And Drive Pink, it's nice. I love driving up there. It is a far drive. I do live in Miami-Dade and it's in Broward, but it's a nice temporary stadium, but it's not in Miami. And as far as as much as it's a nice stadium, but realistically it's Inter Miami. We don't it's you don't want to be Inter Fort Lauderdale. But yeah, there has been some movement on the stadium. And yeah, hopefully it gets passed later this year.
How far is that? Like, because
Hmm.
I'm not familiar. I've never been south of I've never been south enough to like Miami.
Yeah.
So like, how
Mhm.
far is it actually out of the city, like drive wise? Not maybe miles, but like, how long would it take with traffic and all that?
Oof. Well, from where I'm at, about
Mhm.
45 minutes, which is
Okay.
a decent trip. But if you were, say, in downtown Miami proper, it's about a 30-minute drive to get up to
Oh wow.
Drive Pink. Yeah, yeah. It's a trek, but it's all right. I love going up there.
I was gonna say I've been to 2 of the stadiums there. I've been to Miami Dolphins Stadium, the Hard Rock, and then I've also been to Marlins Park. And Marlins Park's in a really weird area too. Like they plopped it right down in the middle of a Cuban neighborhood. It was like,
Yeah.
here, just put that there; it'll
Really?
fit. Oh yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, like where it sits. And then again, like the Dolphins, I mean, it's plopped down right in the middle of an area. It seems they're all weirdly located. I know that the Heat they've got the stadium downtown proper, but it's like I don't. It's really weird that Miami's had such an issue, and I know that they extend into like Miami Gardens and different things like that when they look around at potential. But I know they scream about stadiums, but then it kind of leads into our next question. They do scream about the kit too. Last year they did not drop a kit that was pink, and it's been a long time coming. They finally announced in 2022 that the home kit will be pink for the first time in their history as a professional club in MLS. Can you kind of just speak to the I guess the outrage that was not having a pink kit, and kind of what it means for the fans going forward to have that pink where they identify it with Miami?
Yeah, I think, Inter Miami coming into the league, I think everyone expected it to, oh, naturally, pink colors, pink kit. Wrong. That didn't happen. And, honestly, it was utterly bizarre. Uh, like, I don't want to knock the previous kits, but I personally wasn't a fan of the all white kit. Yes, the
Right.
details were nice, but it was very plain, and the pink wasn't as vibrant as we wanted it to be. So it was a disappointment, even though the details were cool. But the fan. Just they've just been so elated that we've gotten an all pink kit now. Maybe not all pink with the shorts, but there's a pink kit now. It was a long time coming. It's Inter Miami righting a wrong that they've done, and I think it was just overdue at this point. I don't know why they went with the white. It was bizarre. But yeah, the pink kit. I'm excited for that. I've not seen any leaks of it. The clubs have done a really good job, making sure that nothing has come out about that. So yeah, I'm excited for the kit drop, and it should be a great one.
It has the attention of all MLS. I know that. I know the guys from Extra Time and stuff are always tweeting about why is this not pink? What is wrong with this club?
Yeah.
So Miami has had 19 departures, or maybe even more than that by this time, from 2021, lots of players leaving, with some players coming in. Now we're starting to really get some of that stuff going on. But are these moves part of a complete rebuild? Like the Christian McCune being traded to Charlotte, Federico Higuain retiring, Pizarro leaving. Or are they just clearing the books and maybe collecting, cash to be able to start rebuilding another big squad again? And did last year's DP saga result in some of those moves and decisions by the front office?
Absolutely. I'll answer that second question first. Absolutely. I think, oh, yeah, I've been writing about that for so long. It's just the Pizarros, Matuides. Higuain, I'm willing to give a break because he did score 12 goals, and I think he got about 6 assists last season. He pretty much carried Miami's offense, so I'll give him a break. But per the Miami Herald, Matuidi will not be included in the 2022 squad. I don't know what they're going to do. They're looking to maybe move him on to another club or something, but yeah, yeah, the DP situation was just a mess. And to answer the first question, yes, it was absolutely. It was. I think it's mainly the sanctions, but at the same time, I think they're just trying to clean house. And you see the clear split between the first regime of Paul McDonough, maybe the ownership meddling in player transfers too much to, Chris Henderson. This is going to be what we're doing. This is our philosophy. This is our squad. And you see it with the incoming transfers and trades that Miami has made. They're young players, hungry players that want to be here and want to play. The club did loan out Pizarro to Monterey too. So right now, Inter Miami, as it's only Higuain as a DP right now because Blaise Matuidi won't feature. But yeah, absolutely, the sanctions did have a big part to play in this. But at the same time, I think this is just a start over for Chris Henderson. Last season, Chris Henderson and Phil Neville, they came in a bit late. They were there, but they didn't have a full grasp of what they didn't have full control. They came in late and they didn't have the time to actually mold the squad into what they wanted to. This offseason, we see that happening, and yeah, the incoming transfers have been telling. It's been really telling. So, and the departures as well. So yeah, it's definitely a soft rebuild. I don't want to call it a full one, but at this point, there's been too many departures for it to be considered a soft one. I think it's just a hard reset at this point.
Yeah, I feel like as a fan, I mean, it's just tough because they come in with a lot of expertise, right? They got Neville, they've got David Beckham, they've got guys that have done this before, and I do think as somebody on the outside looking in, you do see a lot of frustration with Miami fans, and I think you see it on the pitch as well because I know a lot of the players. Noticeably, last year when I was watching Inter Miami, you had noticeable angst on the field. I mean, you had moments where Gonzalo's looking at Pizarro going, "What are you doing? Like, this isn't how this is supposed to go." And I just kind of wondered, with all those pieces being shipped out, I mean, has the support kind of wavered any, or are people kind of backing these moves as almost like yeah, we're moving in the right direction. This needed to happen kind of thing?
Yeah, I think the fans reading my Twitter feed alone, I think they were just ready for a restart. Last season was pretty evident that you had a bunch of players that didn't necessarily get along together, nor did they play well together. So the Inter Miami fans, a lot of them just wanted everyone gone. I don't know if you guys seen that viral video of the fans chanting, "Sell every one of you. You're not fit
Right.
to wear the shirt." It went pretty viral and on the South American press, but that's pretty much the sentiment at this point. They want players to play for the club, play for the shirt, and last season, we didn't see that. So I think the fans are just ready to get behind a club and a team that are ready to play with hunger and a desire to, get the team into the playoffs or what have you. It's been a long time coming. This club has gone through so much, so I think that's the least that these Inter Miami fans, want at this point.
So looking at the roster that is left, what is left of it? 6 of the top 10 players obviously gone in minutes played. So those players who have contributed mightily for Inter Miami and Phil Neville are somewhere else this year. But what pieces do they have left over? I mean, we're going to talk eventually about the signings that they've made. and kind of how those pieces fit. But what can Miami fans be excited about? I mean, is there somebody that they look at and go, okay, for the future, this is something we can build upon?
Mama Bika and Georgia Costa. I think if there's anything to be excited about, it's bringing up guys who's played for the academy and Fort Lauderdale CF who've done really well into the first team. That's pretty much what David Beckham, Chris Henderson said that they wanted to do is bring through local talent. Even though Mama Bika was drafted, but Georgia Costa is a local player. Bring through local talent into the ranks of the first team, and with the sanctions. That's pretty much what they're going to do. I know I did hear that there will be a couple of Fort Lauderdale CF players that will be signed to the first team. I don't know what specifically. I don't know what players specifically they are, but I have heard that there will be a couple of them. So I think that it's just a matter of stepping back and realizing that because of the sanctions, you don't necessarily you have to have a bad team, but you can also look towards what happened last season, but and pick out certain players that can help propel this team forward. Guys like Gregory, Ujoa, he did resign. The glue guys that will keep this locker room together because Miami is going a bit younger too. So this roster right now with the incoming signings, it'll get significantly younger. So guys like that, Gregory Ujoa, Breck Shea will resign per the Miami Herald as well. So guys like that, it'll just be huge, and that's something that we should look forward to this upcoming season.
So, Blaze Matuidi, you referenced it, and when we had somebody on Twitter ask, is there a reason why that hasn't been officially? I mean, are they currently looking for a deal, or is this kind of something that they're going to be working on? Because I mean, we're already to January 14th, and you got 15 days to hopefully. It sounds like it probably will be a loan deal at this point. They've done it with everybody else that's experienced. But is there a reason for the club kind of delaying this? Is there concern that he might still be on the roster and the payroll when it's time to move on into February?
And wasn't he saying he might retire too? I thought there were some reports of that as well.
Yeah, I think with Blaze, it's difficult to move on a player like him.
Mhm.
35. Not he's regressed a lot since his Juventus days. I don't think any team would want to take him on a permanent, especially giving his salary and whatnot. But I have heard and seen reports that Troyes and France they may look to take him on. It remains to be seen if he will go, but per the Miami Herald, I did read that it'll either he'll be moving to another club or he'll just join the team in an off-season role. So in an off-the-pitch role. So yeah, it's difficult, and I think the team hasn't moved him on yet because it's just hard. It's hard to move on DPS. We see it with other teams in the league looking to get rid of theirs. Toronto and their DP situation, they signed Insigne and they gotta get rid of Soltero at this point. So yeah, it's just hard. If you look at Blaze's Instagram feed, you see him visibly not training at Inter Miami's facilities. I think he put up a video recently on his story that it doesn't look like Inter Miami's facility. So it does look like he is trading away from the team. So yeah, he is not in the plans for 2022 at all, and it's just a matter of time before he gets moved on. Really.
But there have been some signings, and some of these have been made official just like today. Christopher McVeigh signing from Elfsborg through the 2024 season with a club option for 2025. He's 24 years old. And then you have players like Lassiter, Mo Adams, Bryce Duke. Do these players step right into the roster, or I assume because they have so many players missing that they probably have to.
Yeah. So I think it's last year Miami really struggled with depth. So you see the signings like Mo Adams, Ariel Lassiter. Those are going to be guys that do get starting minutes, but depth was just such a significant issue last season that having guys like Mo Adams, Ariel Lassiter, Breck Shea is resigning on the bench will be huge for Inter Miami if they want to make the playoffs. Bryce Duke, I'm really high on. With Pizarro leaving, I do see Bryce Duke getting significant minutes, especially at the 10 spot. Well, it depends on which formation they play, but he's an exciting young talent, and I think signings like that or an indicator that they're trying to build depth and try to just make sure that the injury bug doesn't hit them too hard again this year. And yeah, I think, with McVay especially, if you guys looked at the roster, Miami didn't have a right back at all. So that McVay signing takes care of that. And he can also play as a center back. You guys know that all of Inter Miami center backs have basically moved on and been traded or loaned. So yeah, they're depth pieces, but I do see them getting significant minutes heading into 2022.
was going to say there's not like a Ryan Shawcross kind of sneaky
Yeah.
signing that they're going to make. But we had a question on Twitter that I kind of wanted to stuff into this section here, just because I felt like this was a good one. And it was CJ from midweight 150 at 152. So he was asking about Fort Lauderdale, and he was asking about three players in particular. And I'm going to just shoot these out there. I don't know if I'm assuming you know who they are. And I wanted to know, is Harvey Neville Phil's son?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a direct relation, but
Yeah.
he asked, the person on Twitter asked, Harvey Neville, Mitchell Curry, and I believe it's going to be, who else was it? It was Noah Allen that he was asking about. Are these names that, looking at Fort Lauderdale, are these guys that they're looking at maybe having out there maybe as a trial run and getting into the first team sometime this year?
Yeah, Phil Neville said he does want to bring up a couple of those Fort Lauderdale guys. Harvey Neville, I have heard that they are trying to bring him into the first team too. Mitch Curry, I believe he's still in England, so his situation, it'll depend, when he gets back to the States. Let's see how that goes. And Noah Allen, I haven't heard anything regarding him, but last season Miami did take a couple of Fort Lauderdale players to their season finale at New England, and Noah Allen was one of the players. So uh, um, I hope that he gets to the first team, but I haven't heard anything. But yeah, Fort Lauderdale, there's a treasure trove of players down there. I watched every single game last year of them, and there's a lot of talent there. So it's only a matter of time before a couple of them get up. But yeah, I fully expect those three to be in contention.
All right, so they trade Christian McCoon
Mhm.
for the number one spot in allocation ranking. I know Orlando had been rumored to want to come after that as well,
Mhm.
and that's kind of still in the works. But is there somebody out there? I know we were looking at the allocation list and we were kind of looking at players. They're interesting names. I'll give you that. They are very interesting names. And if DeAndre Yedlin decides that his time is done in Europe and he wants to come back or wherever it might be, is there anybody in particular that they felt like they were targeting, or was this just kind of a collection of a spot in hopes that other teams maybe did have targets and they just kind of swept this up so they could get some money for that spot?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything regarding that. I think looking at the list alone, there isn't any player that I don't think Inter Miami would take. There are a couple of wingers, Jefferson Savarino, Pity Martinez is on there, but those are like Pity
Right,
is not gonna happen. But
right,
yeah, they could very well just trade the allocation spot. Like you said, Orlando was interested, and Miami could hold them for ransom basically if they really wanted the
right.
spot and get more allocation money or whatever MLS mechanism. So yeah, I haven't heard anything regarding which player, but they're definitely going to do something with that spot. They wouldn't have traded McCoon else. They wouldn't have traded him if there
Hmm.
wasn't a plan there. So.
Okay, so we've kind of mentioned it before about rebuilding with a player like Higuain. Can Miami service Higuain, who had, like you mentioned, 12 goals last season and maybe around 6 assists? And if not, how much longer do you think he stays with Miami? Do you think this is like his last run here with them, because he is kind of getting up there in age as well?
Yeah, I think this year's Egoin's last year on his contract, so I haven't heard anything about him renewing or whatnot. He could retire. We don't know. He could move to another club. We don't know. But yeah, it's his last year, and I don't think he'll return. But as far as building around Egoin, I think you see with the acquisition so far, Emerson Rodriguez, who is a Colombian winger out of Colombia. He's a really good crosser of the ball. Last season, Higuain didn't have much service, so bringing in guys like that will just help get the best out of Higuain. He's capable of scoring in MLS. 12 goals is it's not it's not easy to do. So getting players in like that to basically play with and around Gonzalo will only help Inter Miami because right now, I know Leonardo Campagna, he hasn't been announced yet, but right now, Higuain's the only pure out and out striker on the roster. So yeah, if Inter Miami want to be successful, it's get the best players to surround Higuain and you basically feed him to try to score goals.
And do you think he is like going to be more bought in this year than some of what we had seen last year? I know like there was a time where he kind of struggled at first. He thought it was going to be a little easier than it was. And then he started scoring more. Do you think he's like fully bought in going in this year?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
there's a report in the Miami Herald that did say that he's been working out and seems extraordinarily motivated this season. So, that's only good news for Inter Miami. I don't know if you guys heard that interview he did where he thought
Mm-mm.
come in MLS and it'll be a cigarette and a bit of a
Yeah.
walk in the park, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that report they did say that he was pretty motivated and hopefully that translates to good form on the field.
Yeah, see, it was good last year, and I know they had lost their mother because I know he'd missed like the Union game because
Yeah.
Jordan's a Union fan, and we had, you know, it was around that time where he'd lost his mother, and both the Higuains were absent for some time. But it did feel like when Federico was there, it did kind of give Gonzalo more of that, I guess, that chemistry building off of each other, and kind of understanding how to play with one another. But it did there. He was the one. I mean, you see it every once in a while with attacking players, but he really did. I mean, just the body language last year seemed to be off most of the time with Gonzalo. It seemed like he was angry. He'd look around and just kind of wonder, what am I doing here? Why do I have these people around me, and how are they helping me grow and be successful in this season? It just seemed like he was a little bit off this year or last year. So it's good to see that he's, motivated to kind of take some of these younger guys and hopefully go out with one more year, kind of motivating these young guys to come up.
Yeah. Yeah, so regarding that, I think it's really funny because you guys saw the chemistry on the pitch.
Hmm.
Yeah, it, yeah, there was drama basically. I don't know if you guys saw Pizarro. Before he left, he was liking tweets indicating that they don't get they don't play well together. They don't work well together, and yeah, it was just yeah, it was a lot, and like you said, when Federico was on the pitch, Gonzalo did play a bit better,
Hmm.
and I also think that has to do with Federico being more of a pure creative 10 than
Yeah.
versus Pizarro being like I guess a
Hmm.
shadow second striker type of number 10, I guess. So yeah, and the loss of their mother, it definitely hurt. Looking back at some of the quotes that he said during post-match conferences, of course that affects you and that affects your mental health, and in turn that it affects his form. So if he was not completely in it, obviously it's because he lost his mother, and it's difficult. So you have to give players are human too, so you have to give
Yeah,
them
absolutely.
a bit of slack, excuse me, in regards to that. So but yeah, come 2022, he's fully motivated, he's fit, and hopefully that that can help propel Miami on to hopefully a playoff spot.
All right, so they in the super draft, they took Ryan Saylor from University of Washington. Do we know much about the kid? It's a defender, so obviously I think it's interesting because they need defenders. I think you're
Yeah.
just better off right now just selecting a bunch of defenders and hoping something sticks because it's been a brutal stretch of just allowing goals at will. So can you kind
Yeah.
of speak to Ryan Saylor and what he might be able to bring? They took him in number 9, so. Again, super draft, hit or miss, but it seems like this was the right pick.
Yeah, Ryan Saylor, tall. He's 6'4", he's good in the air, he's good with the ball at his feet. Player for University of Washington, he's good at set pieces. Inter Miami, they were so poor at set pieces last season, and it's clear that Chris Henderson wants to fix that. There have been a lot of guys coming into this squad that have been 6 feet and above. Daryl Quinteros, McVay, he's 6'3". Mabika, he's 6'6" as a center back, which is insane. So Ryan Saylor, yeah, he should, you know, listening to his post draft interview, he basically said, "Yeah, I hope to come in here and fight for a starting spot right away." So that already tells you the mentality of this guy. That he wants to come and make an immediate impact. So, and which is what Miami needs, considering that they got rid of most of their all of their starting center backs last season. So, yeah. really high on Ryan Saylor. I watched a couple of his games for University of Washington. He's a good solid defender, and Chris Henderson being in the Seattle area for years, obviously, in the Washington area, I would assume that he's pretty in touch with University of Washington soccer. So it was a good solid pick for Inter Miami.
So it's being reported that they're close to signing Jamaican national team defender Damian Lowe. You mentioned the Ecuadorian Leonardo Campana. Also, no, actually, you mentioned the Colombian winger, right? Emerson Rodriguez, but also linked to Leonardo Campana from Ecuador. Just kind of like 3 out of the blue, quick signings, it seems, coming down the way here. Do you have any thoughts on these? It seems like Rodriguez and Campana are both about 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty young wingers.
Yeah. So I'm laughing because Campana and Rodriguez. There's photos of them in the Inter Miami kit at this point. So it's only a matter of time before Inter Miami announces them as players. But yeah, I think it shows the direction Miami wants to go. Younger. Phil Neville specifically said, it's a young person's league, MLS. I want it to get younger, and you see that with Campana and Rodriguez, and there's Damian Lowe. Of course, he's not old, but he's still, I believe he's 28. So these are signings that were needed. Like I said earlier, there's no one to back up Higuain, and signing a 21-year-old Ecuadorian international is huge. And with Emerson Rodriguez as well, coming from Colombia, he's a real crafty winger that should fit perfectly in what the club wants to do. So, and Damian Lowe as well, he's got that experience. He's also super tall. He's quick as a defender, physical, and it'll fit what Inter Miami wants to do. So this offseason it's been Miami's they've hit it out of the park with their signings so far. So hopefully that can translate on to success on the pitch.
Do we know if either of these three are they all like TAM players or like under 22 DPs, or do we know what they fall under?
Yeah, I think Rodriguez would be a TAM player, maybe under 22. I have to double check, but his transfer fee will be around 2.5 million. So like I said, MLS rules are kind of switching up every day, so I'd have to go and double check. But yeah, they should be TAM players. Inter Miami cleared a lot of space just with Shawcross retiring, LGP gone, Figal gone, Pizarro gone, Matuidi going to be gone. Lewis Morgan trade, they've cleared up a lot of money and wages. So you see the players that are incoming reflective of the wages that they've basically pushed away. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, but as soon as Inter Miami announced that, I will look at the finer details and see if they are under 22 players, TAM, what have you.
I think it'll be interesting, Jordan, because I sent you that article today where the next league or whatever it is that they're calling it,
MLS Next Pro.
Yeah. So when they dropped that today, Jeff Reuter wrote in the Athletic that basically you get, I think it was 7 international spots, roster spots in that program. You also don't have to worry about the payroll. You can pay them as much as you want. You can kind of keep players there and don't have to worry about so much as far as transfer fees to keep younger players. So it'll be interesting to see, because obviously these clubs know more than we do at this point, where they're going to be looking at, okay, well, these players fill in this requirement, so this is why we're doing this. And again, like you said, Alex, I think it's just the transparency with the league is just mind-boggling at times. You kind of have to just guess at what people are. And if MLS.com just posts something, then obviously we just assume it's true, because it does seem like the league does kind of struggle keeping things transparent.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah. So the last question, Jordan, do you want to ask it? Because I know you like to ask the
this
question.
Is my favorite question all the time.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
So our favorite question we always ask is, what would be a successful season for the club? So what would be a successful season for Inter Miami in 2022? Is it playoffs? Is it just looking better than last year, playing better? Like, what is the benchmark that we're looking at?
Playoffs. I think missing out on the playoffs last season was more than a disappointment. There was, if you guys saw, they tried to make a run late in the season, but those losing streaks just absolutely kill you. So I think success this year for Miami is making the playoffs, whether it be the 7th, 6th, 5th seed. I don't expect them to be, challenging for Supporters Shield or anything like that. I think it's just, get to the playoffs and, see what you can do. I believe NYCFC, although they do have a better squad than Miami, I think they were the 4th seed and they ended up at MLS Cup. So, yeah, I think at this point it's just get in the playoffs and see what you can do. Anything less than that would, it would be a failure not making the playoffs. I know that this is a rebuilding year, but Chris Henderson, Phil Neville have said that they still want to be competitive. So playoffs is definitely the goal.
Yeah, and NYCFC were actually out of the playoff hunt for a bit, where they had fallen out near the end of the season and had to come back into it. So yeah, it's crazy how that can affect that's MLS, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few results go your way, you're in the playoffs, and you're lifting the cup.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right. Well, where can, if you want to replug everything, where can people find all of your work at, Alex?
You can follow me at AAW_1998 on Twitter. I write for the Heron outlet. I cover in Miami for them. You can see all my work on my page. I'm constantly tweeting, retweeting stuff, just calling attention to news that people have not seen, reporting some stuff. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at AAW_1998 and at the Heron outlet, on Twitter.
Well, Alex, we really appreciate your time, and thanks for helping us understand everything that's going on with Enter Miami, because everybody else looks at it and goes, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So thank you for helping us understand. I do have one not so serious question. They don't, for your understanding, they don't have 4 DPs this year, correct?
No, they definitely less than that.
Okay.
Definitely. I think if that were the case again, there would be pitchforks from basically every Inter Miami fan. They don't want to go through that again.
Right. Well, thank you, Alex. Thanks for hanging out with us. And everybody go follow Alex if you're an Inter Miami fan. Again, she's got great stuff over there.
Thank you.
And we are back, and we want to thank Alex for coming on and talking Inter Miami. So, successful season for Miami in Alex's eyes, and probably most Miami fans' eyes, is playoffs. What are your thoughts on that, Logan?
This is my pick for Wooden Spoon. I'll ruin it right now, just because there's no way around it. Like, I can't avoid it. And I don't want to lose all our Inter Miami fans. I feel for you. I feel really bad. Like, I do. This is not.
Yeah, Logan's a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows what it's like.
Yeah, as much as I'm an Orlando fan, but the rivalry does not exist yet, because Orlando wasn't very good for a while, and then Miami's not so good. So it has been tough for the state of Florida as far as MLS is concerned. It's just not been it's been a very bumpy ride, and Orlando is not going to be as good either, I don't think. So it's going to be a tough year in Florida. I do think that this is, if not the worst team, Jordan, this is easily bottom 3. I just don't know. Everybody else that I'm looking around at, because we're covering the bottom teams right now, I do think Austin's doing enough to be competitive. They've got a cohesive group that they've had from last year. You're looking at Dallas, who I think has an influx of money that can do things, but they've always got youth, and they always strive through the youth. And even though they might not be great, they'll be solid, I think. Houston, again, I think that they're a better team with the cohesiveness, and you get a new coach in there, new blood, new energy. So then you start to look at, Jordan, Toronto was a team that we thought eventually could be in some trouble, but now they've corrected everything. So it's going to be tough. I know where they're going with this. They had to do this. They're hamstrung by that DP and the sanctions, but it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
Interesting. I don't have them as Wooden Spoon, so I would say that just outside playoffs or just barely making it in is probably a good season for them. I do think, kind of like in Austin where we talked about 9th place, that would be 9th place in the East, I think would be pretty standard here. Let's not forget, we're going to have an open spot here with Nashville moving.
Yeah.
And we're going to also have Charlotte, who's definitely not making the playoffs their first year. I'll go out on a limb and say it. So I do think there's a chance, there's a spot that we've kind of talked about previously, that with Nashville vacating to the West, there's a playoff spot available. This team just barely missed out on the playoffs. I know they just finished 11th, right? So I think a 9th place finish would be a pretty respectable bump up, and hopefully you get some of these young guys in and they either overperform or you start seeing what they can bring in the years to come, and then you get, Higuain gone and you can bring in another young, exciting attacker or something and really build up this team to be a contender, not this year, but next year. That's kind of my thought process. So I think a 9th place finish would be successful. I think Miami fans would probably disagree with that, but that's what I would have as a successful season for them.
I mean, so I got a question for you then, and maybe I'm wrong, but who are they better? I mean, Chicago.
They're better than Charlotte. They're better than Chicago.
Yeah. But everybody else, I would argue Cincinnati is going to be better than they are this year.
We'll see. I know Cincinnati stole most of the Union's front office and one of their assistant coaches. But look, Josh Wolf was a very highly touted coaching prospect, and that didn't work out right away. And that's pretty much what's going on with Cincinnati right now. So we don't know what that's going to look like. I could see, I think Alex kind of convinced me on this when she's talking about shedding all of the money that they shed on losing Shawcross. He's retired, going to be losing Blaze, going to be losing losing Federico, losing Gonzalez. Yeah, all of this kind of stuff. Losing all those players has now let them totally reshape it. This is a whole new GM than what the first iteration was. And I think that they are on the right path. And I think they're not done yet. They're going to make these 3 signings. We might get a few more. And then, Phil Neville is able to shape his team the way he wants to shape it. I don't know. I'm buying into it. Again, I don't think they're going to be, was it the best team in the East that was quoted by Caleb Porter. Yeah. But I do think that they will be better than last year. And I think that they're definitely better than Charlotte. They could be better than Cincinnati. That one's on a look. We were really high on Cincinnati last year, and that failed. So I'm kind of hesitant to be high on them again going into this year.
I see it. Yeah, I can see it.
And if I pull up the East real quick, because I'm kind of blanking on stuff here. DC, we don't know if they trade Ola Kamara. That was 19 goals for them or whatever, right? 16 goals, something like that. That would, I don't know what could replace Montreal. Were they a fluke last year or are they good?
Yeah.
Probably good, but we don't know. Toronto is coming back up. I think Columbus might actually have more problems. I guess we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's opportunity here. It's the East. The East is always going to be just
the
crazy.
Wild East.
Yeah, the Wild East.
It's not the West. The West is very
the West is your stacked teams, and then you have the resurgent Toronto that we're going to get. But for me, I look at this and I say, this is last year's predictions for people that are watching. This is not this year's. Looking at a team like, wow, hold on, I got Miami bang on there. That's pretty cool. But looking at DC, Chicago, Cincinnati. No more Nashville. There's going to be Charlotte. There's opportunity here. And there's opportunity to at least climb the 2 spots, I'm thinking. And I think maybe that's where they finish, about 9th.
I just don't want to get pitchforked on Twitter. So here's my positive. You're right, Jordan. They're going in the right direction. They're definitely – I think they finally realized, okay, we can't just throw people out there and hope it works. We've actually got to build this. And I do think what Alex said is interesting, how talented Fort Lauderdale is over on the USL side. So I think that watching the USL League One, it's going to be interesting because I do think that there are some pieces that are coming up from just looking at the roster and looking at the excitement around these players. And I'm talking national level. So it does seem like, yes, Jordan, they finally figured out that they're going to have to build to the youth, but I think every team needs to look around right now. And that's what our league is, isn't it, Jordan? MLS is now turned into, we are 100% there. We are a feeder club now. look around at all the signings that have happened today, Jordan, and we'll mention some that happened just in passing, but we are a feeder club, and now you've got to build from the ground up. You got to build it around these academies. This new league that they're going to have, the MLS Next Pro, and with no salary cap, I mean, we're going to be able to buy so many youth players from Europe or South America or wherever they might be from. It's going to help tremendously. So again, Miami, you're going in the right direction. I just don't think it's going to be very pretty. This is a lot of moving pieces.
We mentioned it before we had Alex on, the drama that happened on Friday, January 14th, as LAFC get Kellen Acosta via trade. They send 1.5 million GAM. But Kellen Acosta came out against this on Twitter. And the reason why is because I guess some of the sources inside were trying to paint this a different way than, what actually happened. I'm trying to locate the tweet right now, which I should have already had up. Okay, so now, I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere. He is retweeting all of this LAFC stuff now, but he says to the LAFC fans, "I'm excited for the chapter. I'll give everything I have." But what happened was there was a quote that did he delete it?
It was a response to somebody.
So I have to look at replies, right?
I retweeted it on our page, Jordan. I went in because I thought the same thing. I thought he
here it is. Okay,
deleted it.
So Burgundy Wave had a quote in it, which is the SB Nation. It says, Rapids were working on an extension with Acosta, but the sides failed to come to terms. After years of European transfer rumors, most of it turned out to be smoke, with the real interest coming from other MLS teams. And he said, "This narrative is sad. Colorado pushed me out. They had an offer for me on the table from abroad and ongoing interests and opted to trade me, ... Now, they went ahead and they being, well, I guess I thought I had it on here, but they didn't update it to that. But whoever it was updated this thing with a response from Colorado, where I cannot find it now, saying that there was no offer on the table when we traded him. 3 hours after we traded him, we got an offer that was supposed to be a free loan and with a buy option. So they're pretty much saying that he's incorrect, but who knows? I mean, I think it's unfortunate for Acosta, who's been wanting to make a move abroad, I think. And, he's at an age where it's almost a now or never type of thing. So I think he may not get that move. He might be just staying with LAFC. From all the stuff he's tweeting now, makes it seems like he's buying into LAFC. But just kind of a weird situation overall here. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this really sucks for Kellen. I get reporting stuff, but this seems so Sky Sports. Like, this seems so Lukaku-esque. It was like, okay, let's sit on this and to go after somebody and say that it was just smoke. And then also, if the team said that, then that's not very kind on the team. And after that, I mean, once that quote is published and Kellen finds out that's what has been said, or somebody has leaked this to somebody that is writing, I think at that point Kellen goes, you know what, I'm not signing an extension here. This is a horrible narrative. I'm trying to make a path for myself in Europe, and this is going to probably delay it for a year. Like, I feel like this is going to delay it. He's got to go play in LAFC now. I'm sure there was interest with European clubs. It seems to me that he has played well in some of the World Cup qualifying games. He's played well in the appearances that he's had in Gold Cup. So I think it was warranted. I think he was going to just get the move that he deserved. And it's just too bad that that this has come out and then they go and trade him. It's just delaying the inevitable of him ending up with another club in Europe. But it really does kind of suck that, Kellen can't come out and say, hey, this isn't what really happened. But then Colorado bashes him back. And basically, I mean, this hurts him going forward, I think, too, just because I think, if you trust what is said, then maybe, people think that Kellen's not being very truthful, or maybe he's not somebody you want around. But I do feel bad for Kellen that this is the narrative that surrounds him, because I don't think that this was the intention for him.
All right, so we have a young up-and-comer going over to Venezia again, played in MLS, played for Orlando. Luis Nani is going over to
youth product,
Venezia.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard good things about him.
I heard 36.
Yeah, I heard that Sir Alex actually tweets at him every once in a while. I don't get it, but
he used to play for him, right?
Yeah, somewhere, a small club.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something there. So I guess
Cole Bassett.
The way I look at it, is just that whatever reason Orlando didn't want him, and I think he mentioned that as much, because I think if he's going to Venezia, he would have stayed with Orlando. Venezia is not any bigger.
Yeah, it was reported from a lot of the outlets here that he wanted to stay. It was by no factor of his own that he was leaving. He basically said in his statement that our time has come, that there was an interest of the club to move in a different direction, and he understood that it was a youth movement. And I think he saw the writing on the wall. He saw DK leave, Chris Mueller left. There's going to be more movement, so I think Pedro might be out too. So I think that there's a lot of moving parts in Orlando, and I'm happy for Nani. I'm excited to kind of see him back on a big stage in Europe, because I do think, like you said, Jordan, I mean, Venezia is supposedly, and I don't know Serie A that well, I'm just getting into it, but it's a huge club. It's massive, and now we've got 4 MLS guys playing for that club. So this is great for the league and everything. Again, all positives here.
Bad news is not the Cole Bassett that you're. I got one more news story before that. Alan Polito going to miss the whole season. And I wonder how early they knew this. It might make sense why they tried to pick up Robert Barich, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. They couldn't agree to a contract. But I'm assuming maybe they knew that, and that's why they tried to grab him, and they just still didn't work out.
Yeah, I know Baji had been linked to him too, to them too, before he went with Cincinnati. And then I know that they were looking at guys like Rios from Nashville. I mean, they were looking, which is weird, Jordan. I think you're right. This seemed very odd. This seemed okay, we knew this for quite some time, and now it's another thing, Jordan. We can talk about it on here because we cover U.S. men's national. This really hurts Mexico, because he was trying to get into the side healthy, and with Raul Diaz, Jimenez. I got 26 different people on my mind. Thank you. With Jimenez not knowing, what could come of him
with his head.
They had concerns because they thought Polito could be off the bench, a good spark for them. So that's a bummer. I really wanted to see him healthy.
Alphonso Davies has an injury that he's not going to be able to be in the World Cup qualifier, supposedly, maybe.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this. This with the way Panama's playing, this could be. I mean, you're going to get to see a lot of the Toronto fans are on Twitter talking about how they could handle an absence of somebody like Alfonso. I guess we'll see. This is tough, and this is COVID related. This is some big time stuff with the heart, but I wish all the best to Alfonso. And I wanted to see Canada play in the World Cup, so I'm hoping they don't stumble out.
They still have a good shot. I mean, look, I think at this point the top 4 are the top 4. So if they have a shot, they might be playing for that 4th place playoff, which, I think if they're going up against Oceania, I think even they would have a really good chance with the way that Canada's been playing. And let's not forget they're number 1 right now. In the ranking, in the table. So might be Mexico playing for that position.
Well, I was going to say Mexico actually has looked like the weaker team. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. And then Cole Bassett moving to what club is it? Feyenoord, right?
Feyenoord, yeah.
Good move.
Good move, yeah. Did you see the tweet? Who was it? I think it was Men in Blazers that tweeted out who had played there. Van Persie was a name on the list, but I can't remember. I'm not even going to guess but it was an impressive list of players that had played there. And then it was like Cole Bassett ready to make his legendary move. But again, Jordan, you and I talked about this when we talked about the Rapids last year. We thought that he could be one of those guys in 2026, right? That we thought this guy could be the big part of that midfield. Could you imagine if he starts to play well and he kind of files in next to Weston McKennie, who's in probably the best form of his life right now, and the way that Tyler Adams has played in the midfield, and you just stacking up that midfield of good players. But this is a great move, and that's a league you want to be in if you're going to try to get into a bigger league after that. So good move for Cole. Doyle called it. Doyle's like, how come nobody's come after Cole yet?
Rough for the Rapids, though. We'll save that for our preview, but they're losing some players. They're regressing.
Them and RSL.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically, Colorado already had the lowest payroll, and they're already shipping out some of these players like Kellen Acosta and Cole Bassett and trying to figure out where they're going to be.
Nomley's gone too.
Yeah, where they're going. Yeah. Are they going to bring in some people, or are they just going to be cheap? That's something we don't know.
2 weeks left. Well, 2.5.
First, till training. I mean, like what the Union posted their
2 weeks till training.
Yeah, the Union posted their schedule. They start preseason games February 3rd, I think. So, because end of February is the season starting. So I mean, we're close. We're close. That's why we're pumping these out. We recorded this on Friday. You're probably hearing it on Monday. But again, we just want to thank Alex for coming on. And anything else, Logan, before we get out of here?
I did want to. I know we don't like to speculate things here, but Jefferson Sotelo looks like he's on his way to Tigres. But in return, instead of it just being a loan, it looks like it's going to be a player swap for Carlos Salcedo, which is a huge move. He played here before. Jordan, can you help me? Was it RSL that he was with before when he was?
Yeah,
here?
I believe it was RSL. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched him I watched him play with Tigres, and this is kind of fun. But I was watching Liga MX, and I was watching them play, and I was fascinated because when he did score an equalizer, it was like the 87th minute or something, 88th minute. He scores this equalizer where he kind of just bounces one off a bicycle kick, and it bounces through and goes in. He takes off his kit, and then he runs over to like the away supporters because it was in Santos, and he looked up at the away supporters, and it looked very like he was trying to hold back some tears, but he was pointing to the name, and then he turned it around and he was pointing to his last name, and then he kind of like waved. Like it felt very much like he knew. The manager, like you could tell he was saying something. I couldn't tell what he was saying, but it was like almost a good send-off. So that would be very good for Toronto. That's a really good defender that they'd be adding back.
2013 to 2014 RSL. That's how long ago it was.
Right.
But he was in their youth program too in 2012 to 2013. So he's 28 years old. So he was there when he was young. So
him beside Mavinga, oof, that's a terrifying back.
Yeah, he used to have issues with Garth Lagerwey. That's what made him leave. So I guess we'll see how it goes with him going to Toronto now, if that's the rumor. But what do we got this week, Logan? What episodes are coming out this week? Because I've lost track of them.
All right, so we're still coming up with days for all of them but one. So we are still in flux with 3 people. We're going to have, if all things work out well, this is the rundown. We're going to have John Arnold, and he is going to come on and talk FC Dallas because he covers them for the Striker Texas. And he has a podcast that I think he does with Grant Wall. I believe it's CONCACAF or something like that. I could be making that up at this point, but and then we'll have CLT FC Fan TV. They cover Charlotte, so hopefully we'll get our Charlotte people on next week. That'll be between Tuesday and Thursday when we record that because that's the time period in which they gave. And then we're going to have Andres back from the Foxtrot, and he's got a person that he's bringing along with him. His name is Tony. So he does work with Tony. I believe they also do. They still do that Foxtrot like newsletter that they've constantly put out, Fox in the Box, and you can sign up for that, which is really great. And they support Houston, so that'll be fun to have him on again. And I know that he was working on getting press passes last year, so it'll be interesting to see if he's going to be able to cover the team this year because of COVID last year. I think it was more difficult. And then Monday for sure, Jordan, we're going to have on Fabian Renkel. I believe that's how you say it. And he covers San Jose Earthquakes, and he covers the team on Tectonic Takes, which is a San Jose podcast. It's got quite a bit of following, so I know a lot of people know him from all over Twitter because he's constantly interacting with different fan bases too. So really long run on names, but it's a busy week for us.
Got a lot going on, and then we're supposed to have Todd on for Philadelphia Union sometime soon. So if you want to follow us on Twitter at Stateside Show, Instagram at Stateside Show, Facebook.com/Stateside Show, or email us statesideshow@gmail.com. Oh, I don't know if people are fans of us or not, but if you are, there is a link on the link tree if you want to buy some merch with the Stateside Soccer Show logo as well. I got some. I got a magnet. So I'm hoping to get a shirt. But we have stoppage time shirts that we have, but I also made those are on the shop as well, along with all of our other podcasts. So if you're interested in any of those, you can get a nice little shirt or sweatshirt, or it's through TeePublic. So you can pretty much get that design on anything, like a mug like Logan's holding. That doesn't have our logo on it, but it could. So you can go ahead and check that out too if anybody's interested. But yeah, so go ahead and give us a follow, give us a review if you would like as well. That'll help other people find our show so more people can hear Alex and all of our fantastic guests that we have each week. But I am Jordan Wiegand. He was Logan Stump, and we'll catch you next time.